Yo, it's Iceberg Paris with Blackbibliomania, and welcome to my first video book review or book review video. I guess is how you would say it. Today I'm going to be reviewing my new favorite book, Queenie. I got it. Let's try it and rate it 1 through 10. I spent $1. But seriously, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And also follow me on my Instagram at Blackbibliomania. Also on Goodreads and all the bookish places. You can find me at Blackbibliomania. All the links and everything is in the bottom in the caption. So do everything you need to do. I have dishpan hands today, so don't mind me. But no, really, I really enjoyed this book. It was very refreshing. And let me just start off, I have not seen the show. I have been waiting until I did this review, put this review out until I watched the show, so that I've been like running from all of the commercials and ads and things like that, because I don't want to have like a biased opinion and so forth, because I think I read this book in 5 days. I could have read it faster, but I just had a lot going on, but I read it in like 5 days. But yeah, so I jotted down to be organized. I jotted down some notes that ended up being 7 pages. So we're just going to have to get through them all. So let's start off. Number 1, let me just say this. This book haunted me. It was I know a year. I kept seeing this book over and over and over again. But like I say, I'm always on a strict budget. So, like, if I see a book like at Target or at Walmart, unless it's a book that I've been wanting for a long time, generally I don't get it. So, I didn't buy it. So what ultimately led to me getting the book, and I know I just really started, I don't know, and I really didn't think to check it out either. Like, I know I do, I like the library, but I don't like the library because I like to read at my own pace. And I like to buy books, right? But anyway, so I got the book for $1 at the hall, at the library hall, the Friends of the Library Hall. So I was very excited about that. So let's start off with the introduction. I kept seeing this over and over and over, the crispy braids. Like, that was one of the things that the cover is iconic, right? Like, if you see this, like, it's Queenie almost, right? Everywhere I went, I saw this book. Everywhere. This was my first international story that I read. Like, where the character was, from a different background, kinda. It was kind of like my first international story, so it was different. To be completely transparent, if I had not been a big fan of Top Boy, and Little Sims, I would not have been able to catch on to a lot of the lingo. But because I watched Top Boys, because I love Little Sims, I was able to catch on to all, the English London lingo, which was, really awesome, right? Okay, so my first impressions of Queenie, I thought she was older. What I could not get over is it seemed as if her expectations, or the expectations of her, was thought as if she should have been a little bit more mature. It seems like life was like beating her up, but she was being really hard on herself, and I felt like others were being hard on her as well. And like, when I realized like she's 25, like, oh my God, 25, I think about, for starters, your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25. So to think that she was supposed to already have it figured out, or she thought she needed to have it figured out, I could definitely see how she was a ticking time bomb. I instantly identified with her in the first couple of pages with the IUD situation. Because it's a scary situation and individuals don't, there's not enough talk about the whole IUD thing, and being a person who had one for 5 years, and I got it because everyone around me was doing it, and when the moment I got it, it was the most intense and uncomfortable pain I've ever had. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, this is what individuals are doing not to have a baby. Like, oh my God, this is awful. Like, I'd rather just have a whole baby than go through this pain. It was bad. So then too, the complications with having one, there's also a lot that goes into that. And then too, not only the physical complications, but like they're reoccurring like over the years. So it's like 5 years, of different types of issues or whatever. So that was like so triggering. I got mine out probably about maybe like a little over a year ago. And that was the most freeing thing that I felt like I had ever done. Because I felt like even though, no babies, it was, I don't know, it was just something about having it or whatever that just made me, not to mention I gained like 50 pounds with having it or whatever because of, I don't know. I mean, like, just saying. So, I instantly, identify with her. And then the fact that she really couldn't talk with anyone about the whole, it's always with female reproductive health, there's not enough individuals to talk to about things like that. So it's just it could be so scary, right? And another first impression, I instantly knew her and Tom were broken up. And I thought she was being delusional about that. Let me just put that on out there. And it was so funny because, I didn't know, reading the book, like, I went in just reading it. Like, I hadn't read the reviews. I didn't really know what was going on. But let me tell you, I instantly knew her and Tom were not together. Because, she was calling him and he wasn't answering. She was texting him. He wasn't responding. I didn't know what her and Tom had going on, but I knew right off it was over. I also just, in the beginning, I immediately thought that she had very delusional friends. Well, not delusional friends. She did not have very honest friends. Like, she had very dishonest friends. And they aided in her delusions. There are some friends that kind of like aid in your delusions. And then there's some friends that are like, no. And, I'm the friend that's like, no, don't do that. And the thing is this. Sometimes individuals don't want to hear that and they get mad and they think, they don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I like to tell the truth and be blunt about certain situations because I love you and I don't want you to be made to look like a fool. So I think her friends were not very honest with her. Let's just start there. I think they told her what she wanted to hear versus what she needed to hear, right? Not only that, I think that's why she constantly needed the validation for oversharing, but we'll get into all of that. Now, on the back of the book, it mentions that she's a catastrophist, right? And originally, I did not know what that meant. I had never used that terminology or anything like that. So, catastrophist, I'm like, what's a catastrophist? But I didn't realize that a catastrophist, like, at some point in my life, I was a catastrophist. And my mom still is a catastrophist, to be quiet as secure. Like, they think the worst, right? She thought the worst. It haunted my life and my upbringing and created and instilled a level of fear in me that wasn't normal. Let me just say that. Wasn't normal. Yeah, I kind of made it. Whoa. But, you know, just saying. It was clear that she had not been affected by the Uber positivity movement, the good vibes movement, and she always thought the worst, right? She was so fearful that it was going to be like things were going to be terrible, like all the time, or this was going to turn out bad, or just the thinking. And individuals don't realize, like, that kind of mindset, it make things go bad because you've already decided in your head that they're going to go bad, right? So that was very, very interesting. Another thing that in the book that was so I think today's society of impersonal communication, it fosters miscommunication, right? It fosters unemotional attachments, right? Cold misunderstandings, you know, with the texting and the emails or the DMs, or, you know, communication is not what it used to be. Now, for me, I'm a person, call me. Let's have a Zoom meeting. Let's FaceTime. I'm not a texter. I do text because people say, oh, just text me. But I feel I'm the most confident in a situation, or I feel more connected to a person when we sit down and have some understanding. Call me. Let's talk about this. 1-2 minutes, 5 minutes. We ain't got to sit on the phone, you know. But like, even now, like, I'm a single woman, and dating is the worst, because how am I know you like me if you'll never call me? Or how we gonna, we're never going anywhere if we just text. Like, it's never happening. I'm never meeting up with you. I need to talk to you on the phone. Like, that just, you know, I think that allowed and fostered a lot of her issues too. You know, it allowed individuals to be, like, impersonal communication. It allowed individuals to be very passive and to throw rocks and hide their hands. And it's just, you know, it just fosters misunderstanding. You know, I appreciate the author, you know, detailing and allowing the readers to see the text messages and the emails, because it allowed us to look, like, take a deep look inside of Queenie's desperation and the demise and the delusional advice of her friends. So, you know, what it aided that, you know, if they would have just told her, you being stupid, you being desperate. Nobody called her out. Nobody really called her out on time until, like, the end, really, right? Because if it was me, like, and my friend was, girl, when the last time you talked to him for real? Well, let's pull up. Let's go. Let's talk to him. You know, I would have, like, I'm the pull-up friend. You want me to drive you over? Don't be like me. But yeah. So we're going to start off real hot and heavy with the miscarriage situation. It was so sad that she was going through that, but she really couldn't talk to anyone about it, really. And I think it was the thing that made Queenie really spiral out of control, like spiral downward. If Queenie was at the top of the hill and Tom was the gas in the car, she was in the car, the miscarriage was like in neutral. It was like a neutral shift, and it just propelled her downward emotionally, psychologically. It ripped off an emotional band-aid that Queenie just couldn't recover from. You have to realize when you are pregnant, or when you with child or anything like that, your hormones are different in general. Like, because you're still pregnant, right? Even though you had a miscarriage, you still have to go through, your body and your mind still goes through like this process, right? And I think the hormones, heightened her emotional instability. I mean, along with the breakup, along with the moving, along with the problems at work, along with the family problems, along with the, all of that, so that's what I'm talking about at first, it highlighted her failed relationship. It made her, because it made her thought about like the what ifs. Like, what if she did have a baby? Like, what would have happened? And then too, you have to think about it. Having a miscarriage for any woman is a big traumatic experience, right? It affects your self-worth, because you're like, oh, did I do this? Or, it peaks out to like, what would the baby have been like? You start thinking about the baby. You think about just, I've had one before, so I get it, and it invite like the emotions about motherhood and like the relationship with the other party. Some people bounce back quicker than others, and I think the miscarriage was definitely something that kind of, it basically made her focus on like the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, especially with Tom and so forth. And it made her reflect on like those racist interactions and comments of Tom's family. So, that's also something to think about. The Tom situation, right? That leads me to the next thing. I was enraged with Queenie's desperation with Tom. I could not believe, or I could not fathom why she was being so desperate, or for this man like this. I couldn't understand it. It had nothing to do with nothing, but not because Tom was white, or not because of Tom had money or anything. I couldn't get it. I didn't understand it at all, I think she liked Tom so much because in her mind he was perfect. He was mild-mannered, and he was like her piece. But that was the first thing, that I had to learn on my own, just in general. Like, nobody can be your piece. You can only be your piece. And I learned that early on by just my life. But I think that I hate that Queenie couldn't recover, or she couldn't bounce back from that quickly, I think she loved him because he represented like security for her, and stability. She felt complete with him, but nobody else can complete you. You have to complete yourself, So that was, nobody can be your end all be all. So that kind of was, and what you'll see in this review is I identified a lot with Queenie to a certain extent, you know, they're just in general. And so I felt for her, you know, in certain situations I was proud of her. In some situations I was upset with her. But I understood a lot of like the things that she went through, just being honest, you know. Let's see. Tom's relationship was her most viable relationship. And although his family said some very inappropriate things, I think she didn't want to give up on everything that she had put into the relationship. She was settling, you know. Tom ultimately was bad for business. And I hate that Queenie couldn't see that, because let me just say this. If his family was saying that, even though he might have loved Queenie, right? If his family was saying that about Queenie, he should have checked them, right? And the fact that he didn't check them, it should have raised eyebrows, because what if y'all out somewhere, like wherever, at the store, at the gas station, wherever y'all at, and somebody says something crazy, like what is he gonna say then? You know, it's in my opinion that I would love to say that men are supposed to protect women, but I feel as if that is a little sexist and gender bias or whatever. So I'm not going to say that. I would more so say that if we're together, if we're in a committed relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, whomever you are with or whatever, you should protect each other, right? Even if they were just friends, like I would have protected my friends. I would have checked my family member. I would have, you know, I'm just saying, like, he should have protected her. Like, would he have stood up for her if they were out somewhere else? You know, that's something to think about, right? So another thing is, and it bothers me, I think that's what Queenie kind of wrangled with, you know, a little bit. And then I think, my thing went away. Hold on, let's see where I go. My thing went back. But, and then too, let's say, Tom definitely went soft on Queenie. I am unsure if he should have been honest with her or not wanting to be with her anymore, because I've always wondered like how she would have reacted. You know, when I put up my review on Instagram, I had an individual that commented that she liked the book, but she doesn't know why it got bad reviews. And it's in my opinion that like maybe the individuals that gave it a bad review thought it was trash, or they didn't like the way Queenie was presented. But because I know everybody probably doesn't identify with Queenie, right? Or they may have not have had the same instances or whatever. But I mean, I recognize it for being a very real, like, you know, fictional story, right? But anyway, how would have Queenie reacted if Tom would have just said, "Oh, it's over"? Like, I always wondered that. Like, why wasn't he? I felt like he wasn't honest with her because I think he was scared to hurt her feelings, you know. Or I think too, there have been so many things where it was over, but they made it, he took her back because he loved her and he cared about her or whatever. Now let's get on to the friend situation. Did Queenie have good friends, good girlfriends or not? I think she had some decent acquaintances or some decent like work friends, or I wouldn't consider them to like be like best friends. I don't feel like they were homegirls. Like, your homegirls, y'all come over, cook a little food, talk, chill. Y'all can sit on the porch together. Y'all may just go and run errands together. Y'all might even, just lay on the couch, or she can come to my house. My friend can come to my house and just do whatever she wants to while I'm doing whatever I want to do. I don't feel like, I think that what the friend intimacy, because there is an intimate level of friendship that isn't highlighted as much, and I think she was missing that intimacy with friends, with some good girlfriends, right? So that was something that was, so like, and then too, like, all the friends were from different areas, and that was weird, and she had brought them together. I do appreciate, her bringing them together and, inviting us to look at that or whatever, but I think, and I mean, if I'm wrong, to a certain extent, I feel like her friends treated her as entertainment. Like, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I've been looked at as a friend for entertainment because I'm fun, right? Or because I always have a lot going on, or I know friends who, like, they don't have anything going on in their lives, and they just, my life is always, I'm always doing this, that, I always have this going on, or just in general, whatever. And I think they secretly lived like through her to a certain extent, almost. I think her friends seem very mature, and their lives didn't give like mid-20s, especially like her friend that she worked with. I don't think she gave, mid-20s. And just like I said, there weren't a lot of hobbies that were, there weren't a lot of hobbies that were done, or like that were done with friends. They went places, they did things, and they did things, and they talked about like men and things like that. But I just think there weren't a lot of like, I don't know, it was just like the girlfriend, the homie, essence was missing. I think they did. I already said I think they enable her delusions, and I think that she definitely needed some friends that showed her background. Like, why didn't she have any friends that were from Jamaica? Like that. That were Jamaican immigrants. Not saying that, but I think she, and I know one could say, oh, her one friend that she had since middle school, like she should have been, like that was, no, because they were different, like I think having a friend that shares your ethnicity background, as well as, I think that's very important to a certain sense, because they understand what the culture is. Even though her friend was African, I think still like a Caribbean background friend would have been more identifiable for her and would have understand some of her struggles and would have helped her deal with the issues that she had with her family, or deal with the issues that she had, just culturally, and it made me think about like how friends help when you're spiraling out of control, right? Queenie did like stop talking to them, and distance herself from them or whatever. But let's just say this. How should her friends have helped if they knew she was spiraling? Let me tell you something. My friends, they did not play with me. When I've had a nervous breakdown before. It was a lot that aided into that, and it was, I think I had been depressed for years, but really what pushed me into was postpartum depression. Like after I had my now 7-year-old, I suffered from postpartum depression, right? And I went back to work like 2 weeks after having her. I worked from home and I would go in part-time to my job. So the relationship wasn't going well with my child's father. So that was a thing. And I think there were a lot of events that led me to like really spiral. I really like unraveled, literally. Like when I say came completely apart, I came completely apart. I think that my friends really, really played a big role in helping me to like get myself together, because you tripping, you're being crazy, stop acting like that, nuh-uh, go here, go to therapy, how you doing? They would come see about me, they would come check on me. When I was being crazy and foolish, they would curse me out. I can't say what they would say, but what I'm saying, like, they kept it real with me, and they told me like, no, don't do this, and well, I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna come over, let's do this, go out, put some clothes on, let's just have fun, let's have girls night, and I think that kind of carried me over, like, just little things like that. They didn't go along with my foolishness and my BS, and I think that they, although, it wasn't the end. They didn't just laugh at me. They wasn't delusional. When I was being delusional, they told me, that sound crazy or that's stupid. They were very honest with me about that, and I appreciate them for that, But yeah, I don't think her friends, I mean, in my opinion, they didn't do. Her friends were really all she had. Think about it, she don't have any sisters or any. She had a little cousin, but like sometimes you need somebody around you with some sense, like to like give you some good womanly advice. And being that she really couldn't get it or talk, I think that was what was lacking for her. Moving on to the housing situation. So I think it was also an issue that led to her spiraling out of control. Moving and downsizing can be very stressful, especially if you have a lot of things. Moving after a breakup is very stressful, right? Moving along as a single Black woman is very stressful. Because I've worked in property management for 10 years. And they can be discriminatory. Just being honest. They want to make sure you have enough money. They want to make sure, like, they automatically think that you can't afford it, or you're going to be late, you're going to be dirty. I'm just being honest. I have worked in the housing industry for over 10 years. I have been the only Black woman working in these spaces. And I live in Southern Alabama, so I get it. I understand, because people are, they're not nice. You have to present yourself in a certain way in order to get like a certain type of respect. It's almost like you're not courted, you know, like when you're like a good move-in, if that makes sense. So I do. I think she moved completely out of, when she moved completely out of her comfort zone. She had to share a bathroom, which is horrifying. You know, she was living with other weird individuals that she did not know. So that was like super scary. You know, and it wasn't a stable place. It wasn't clean. It was dirty. It was, you know, that was a lot. And then too, just think about like what she went through when she went to go see the women, and they were like, well, are you going to have a lot of men coming in and out? And, you know, like, I'm paying my money. Like, I should be able to come and go as I please and do what I want. Like, why should my character or anything be reflective upon whether or not I'm qualified to rent this place? So that's like a peek at some things that you go to when you're house hunting, apartment hunting, and so forth. So I identified with that. So next we're going to talk about the men, right? I just think Queenie was just looking for any and everybody to make her feel good and not feel lonely, or to erase that terrible feeling, or to get back at Tom, or to whatever. She gave each guy the benefit of the doubt that they were going to romanticize her and love her appropriately, and none of them did. They treated her like she was a sex object. Each time she gave them a chance, thinking that it was going to change, and it never changed. I think eventually she thought that, you know, I don't know. It's just like she thought that maybe one day they would deem her worthy, and, you know, just switching on. It's just like they were drive-bys, right? They were, you know, hit it and quit it, right? Most of the time when you start off like that, it doesn't turn into like this dating type thing or this relationship type thing. It's very rare, right? It was no dates. The risk it all for attention and desperation, that was like so much. And then too, like, you think about, I think she failed because she was just meeting these guys and just, you know, she failed to ask the real questions, the hard questions about, you know, were they in a relationship and things like that. And that was horrifying. And then especially like with the no protection, like, I mean, she was allowing herself to just be a dumping ground. And it's so dangerous to have unprotected sex like that, especially to random guys. Because what if you have a baby? You're having a baby by somebody who you don't even know. Or you're opening yourself up to an individual who is just not good for you, you know? So that was something that was, I don't know, I just felt for Queenie so bad. You know, I did. So I'm almost done, y'all. So let's talk about the Cassandra situation. Cassandra was the friend who would loan her money, who was very, I don't know. She said that she always tried to, oh, this is one thing I forgot to mention about the men. How she allowed herself to be fetishized. Like, and if it wasn't her race, it was her size or her butt. And you know, that is common. I know that is common. Being a curvy black woman, that is a common thing. And I think it's become more common over the years. But you know, with the whole thing with Queenie, like, I would say something about the interracial relationship, but I mean, to be honest, that could be an issue. I mean, like, you can have like some of the same issues other than like the racist comments. You could have like the issues you could have with your same race could be just as bad. So I don't think it's worth even talk. I don't even want to talk about that, to be honest. But back to Cassandra. Cassandra's indirectiveness was a problem for me. She was never direct with Queenie. She kind of talked around her, like she, or she would hint at things that were, that she should have just said straight up. Cause when somebody not getting it, or when they being naive, like when your friend or somebody you love being naive or whatever, just say it. Like, I think she was a friendly hater. Just being honest, I think she saw Queenie as entertainment. I think she pitied her. I think she harbored her feelings with like slick jabs. I think she used the money to control the friendship. I think Cassandra knew about Queenie and Guy. Just to be honest. I think she had a, I would have never befriended Cassandra again once she said what she said. Number one, if Cassandra would have said what she said to me at her house, baby, it would have been some furniture moving. Do you understand me? But more than like the furniture, the box she was paying, that wouldn't have been the only thing that was moving. Because she had some nerve. I'm talking about pissed. I was pissed off. I was ready to tussle with Cassandra when she said what she said. Just saying, because how you gonna gut punch somebody like that? Before I gut punch somebody who's supposed to be my friend, I'll walk away and won't never talk to them again. You don't kick nobody when they down like that. No matter how you feel. I still want all the smoke with Cassandra right now. Can't you tell? And then the corporate workplace. So like me, I'm a corporate girly. I've been working in corporate America for years on years. And I've struggled. I do struggle, and I have, and so I understand a little bit of her struggles, right? It's hard to stay on task, especially when I'm neurodivergent. I don't know if y'all know this. I have severe ADHD. I've had it for years and years and years and years, since I was a child, really. I used to be on medication for it. I'm no longer medicated, thank God, but because I know how to function with it, and I know how to, not allow it to control my life, right? I think staying on task is an issue for me because I have the ability to get things done quickly. So I have but there's a lot of idle time in between then. So that's an issue. Everyone is working in corporate America, just in general, we're going to take race out of it. You're always being watched, right? Everything you say is being documented. Everything, conversation or interaction, is being documented. And even if nothing is said about it, it's said about, if that makes sense. So, that's always a thing. And then too, you think about the Black Lives Matter situation. I experienced a Black Lives Matter situation before Black Lives Matters became as prominent as it is today. And this was about probably in 17. And this kind of led to my spiraling. When I told you I had a nervous breakdown, kind of led to my spiraling. I was sitting at the table with a group of individuals. We were having like a breakfast, like a breakfast at work, and the manager had bought breakfast. She had bought, breakfast. So we were just sitting there having breakfast for, so I can't remember what she bought it for. But, I am a high ranking individual in this company. I'm a business manager, which is very prestigious title. Well, I'm the only black person there. So we're talking, they're eating. And so they, I think something in Houston had just happened where the individual had, some of the cops had been shot and things like that after, I think it was maybe after the Sandra Bland situation. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but, they made like a comment about Black Lives Matter. And mind you, I'm not even big. I wasn't even Power to the People or Black Lives Matter-ish at that time. And they made a comment about that. And then the man said, Black Lives Matter. And then they laughed. And I just looked around. It's like at that moment, I knew, I'm like, I gotta get the heck up out of here. Because I was like, well, they do matter. And I was like, y'all realize people are like, and I kind of went on my little spiel. And they just kind of looked at me. And at that moment, I knew that my time had ran out. I knew, my time had ran out. I knew my time had ran out there was a situation with, they were like, nothing's wrong with Trump supporters. I just feel like you shouldn't bring politics into the workplace. And it was a lot of things. Talk about socialism, that whatever the other opponent would say, like, would talk about, like, Obamacare and all that kind of stuff. Said Obamacare was socialism. It was just... Anyway, but I'm saying all this to say, you have to be careful at work, because you have to watch what other individuals are saying. You have to worry about that. It's often that there are often times where you have to tend to people who are not as qualified as you. You have to do their work and you don't get credit for it. I know just like, my job, I had to train my boss. Like, this woman came in and she was supposed to be my boss, and I had to train her. And, that was a whole thing, so I don't know, being asked to cover for that guy during the holiday, like, I felt like that was wrong. Like, why would you disturb someone on a holiday and ask them to come in and then get mad when they don't do it? The other person should have got in trouble, not her. So that was kind of like and then too, work friends can always be risky because work friends aren't always your friends. That's why I said, like, even though, her work friend appeared to be her friend, there were some things that I felt like her work friend did that I don't think that were very friendly-ish. I'm not going to comment on the essay situation because it's just sensitive, like what happened. I think she should have been supported a little bit more. I don't think she should have been let go without pay. So that was kind of like a thing. I think that they should have had like a essay initiative to talk to everyone about it and so forth. So that was kind of like a thing. And I got 2 more points that I'm gonna make, and then I'm gonna get on off here. I know it's going over a little long. Also, let's get on Queenie's parents. So automatically, the absence of Queenie's father was a big issue. She instantly had daddy issues and so forth. And sometimes when you have that, you look for protection in other men, or you look for other men to take care of you. So that can always be an issue. I think the inappropriateness of Roy was a factor that led her to be the person that she was, and not liking, black men. Just being honest. I think the lack of intelligence of her mother and the naiveness of her mother, I really identified that, because I'm just gonna be honest, like, I knew early on that I was on a different wavelength, from my family early. Like, the things that I wanted to do and the things that I was interested in, I knew that I was, I knew. So I can understand, and sometimes, I think too, you got to listen to the child. Like, sometimes as parents, you should listen to your children, because, like, your children be seeing things that you don't see, and they see through things that you don't see. And I think, it's hard when you're smarter than your mom, I think the abandonment of her mother, it's hard when you don't have a family home, a parental family home, like somewhere you can always go back to or always go hang out at. Grandma's house is nice, but it's nothing like your mom's house or your dad's house, right? It's because, it's nothing like that. I think that aided to her being the way she was. And the biggest thing that I saw that probably I should have mentioned earlier, it's hard growing up in a religious and dry family. My family is religious. I always have been religious. Their holiness down to the ground. Church all day. Shouting. Praising the Lord. So that's like a thing. And two, not only that, they don't drink. So guess what? When we have family get-togethers, it ain't no cards. It ain't no alcohol. It ain't no smoking. It ain't no talking crap. It ain't nothing like that. It's politics. It's news. I mean, it's conservative. Like, I mean, like, we have a barbecue, but, if we have a barbecue, okay, we're going to be inside. It's no sitting outside at the barbecue, sitting around the barbecue grill, or it's not like, it's conservative. So I identify with dating someone who has a fun family. I've dated this guy. I've dated, plenty of guys, but that have fun families, and it make you like, you really enjoy going to their homes for the holiday because it's so fun. Like, their family has food, they play games, they have music going, they dance. And so it's hard being in a dry family. It's hard because you don't get to hang out. It's always, everything's so uptight. You can't let it hang loose and have a good time. So that's hard. And I want to talk about, switch gears and talk about a little bit of going to her grandmother's home or her grandfather's home to be looked after and taken care of. And I want to talk about just do a spiritual assessment on that, right? I am, I'm very spiritual. I'm from, the deep South, Southern Alabama. So, of course, some of those customs and culture is I want to get into that. I know Queenie is Jamaican, but, still children of the diaspora and so forth. So, let me just say this. Immediately when I used to think about, when she started talking about the paralysis and things like that, I instantly thought about, oh my God, she had hags riding her, or, she was being ridden. She used to talk about that. Instantly, when she was talking about not eating, the hysteria, and all of that, I thought about, like, you know, she was in like this kind of something was on her, if that was, you know, if that makes sense. Whether it was something she had put on herself or something she had picked up along the way with exchanging energy with all these individuals. So that's, you know, I guess some people say an unclean spirit, but I'm saying, like, you know, sometimes you can pick up things along the way that kind of just, you know, I think the lack of hot baths kind of aided, you know, it messed up her spiritual hygiene. You have to think about, like, the bad hygiene picking up, like, at the bathroom, how they were, people hairs all over the place, and the bathrooms were dirty, and sharing bathrooms, and, you know, the unclean, dirty floors. And, you know, I know one of her, she used to cry all the time, and she used to have one of her roommates cried all the time, and she used to drink all the time, and she was sad. You know, and then too, I looked at Queenie, I thought about her lack of routine, her lack of ritual, her lack of self-care, was also another factor that kind of messed up her spiritual psyche and so forth. Also the darkness and the sadness and the smell of, you know, like, her boarding home, the home that she lived in too, I think kind of, you know, dampened her spirit or bothered her spirit or made her depressed and things like that. I think too, moving, when she went to go stay with her grandmother and so forth, I think the hot baths helped her, you know, them coming in and bathing her, you know, the hot food and getting that good, you know, sturdy food, the routine helped her. So that was something that was great. And I helped her overcome, along with counseling and so forth. I think being in her grandmother's home, like, helped get her right. You know, even back in the day, in the early, like, you know, in the 60s, 70s or whatever, after the Great Migration, when a lot of Black people moved up north, they would send their children back down to the south for the summer to get some straightening, or if they were pregnant and they need to go down and get tended to, you know, things like that. So that's kind of how I picked up on her going back to grandmother's house. The only thing is that even though they were taking care of her, I think they really cared for her. The older generation, they didn't have time to be depressed because they worked so much. So it was just, that's why they didn't feel her or understand her. It was a different time, you know. But, you know, the playing field is different now. All in all, I really love this book, and I really did love this book. It is something I think I'm going to read again. I can't wait to watch the show. On the next video, guys, I am going to do 8 books that I would have recommended to Queenie to help her overcome her troubles. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to dropping more, and drop down in the comments and tell me what you thought about this review, or what you thought about the book Queenie. I love you for watching. Follow me for more.